Welcome to SOKENDAI Dialogue. I am Moutushi Islam, currently pursuing my PhD at Department of Genetics, SOKENDAI. Today we are sitting in the campus of Japan's National Institute of Genetics, which is the parent institute for genetics program of SOKENDAI. In this video, we will dive deep into the life as a SOKENDAI PhD student. And for this conversation, I have got my friend, fellow PhD student, Bhim. Hello, Bhim.
Hello.
So could you please introduce yourself first?
Hello everyone. I am Bhim. I am from India, so I am doing PhD program here, and I am a final year PhD student here in genetics program of SOKENDAI. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
Okay, Bhim, would you tell me how did you end up at SOKENDAI and how did you choose the lab and your research interest?
Yes.
Please?
I did my master's in 2016 from Tezpur University.
It's India.
Yes, Tezpur is in India. After that, I was trying to get into PhD positions in different parts of the world. So I applied to Europe and other countries, as well as in Japan. So I got one offer from Europe, and I had an offer from SOKENDAI, from National Institute of Genetics. So my main criteria of choosing NIG was that there is a special kind of mice which are only available in Japan in National Institute of Genetics, and I want to work on that strain of mice. So that's why I chose NIG or SOKENDAI.
Okay, so which program did you join? I think there are two programs, like 3-year and 5-year PhD program. So which one did you join?
So even though I already had a master's, I joined the 5 years program because I thought 3 years will not be sufficient to complete my work which I plan to do as a researcher.
Okay, so now you are a SOKENDAI graduate. Congratulations, Dr.
Thank you.
Bhim.
Hi.
So what were your specific research project in the last 5 years at National Institute of Genetics?
Hi. So when I joined, that special strain which I was worked with is a special strain which were selectively bred for tameness behavior. So when we say tameness behavior, mostly the mice are wild and they mostly run away. And so in my case, these mice were selectively bred and they love human contact. So, and my aim was to find out, does gut microbiome like bacteria, archaea, fungi or viruses does have any role in changing the behavior when we selectively bred these mice. So that was my hypothesis, and with lot of hard work as well as some luck, I was able to get one bacteria, Lactobacillus reuteri, which is actually high in tame mice. So what I did was I collected this bacteria, gave it to my control mice, thinking it will change behavior, and it actually did. So now we are now doing field trials in different species like chickens and other animals to check does it actually works with other animals or not.
Okay, so seems that you are good at handling mice experiment. So what are the most exciting thing of your research you would love to do?
So actually, I will say I had a feeling earlier. I used to put some analysis. I also worked with bioinformatics, so I used to put some analysis overnight, and early morning when I wake up, I am eager to go and check what will be the result. So that is one exciting part I remember. Next exciting part is, so I struggled a lot initially. I was not able to get good result. Happens with every PhD student. So there were lots of ups and downs, but my sensei helped quite a lot. He supported me. So I feel the most exciting part came in 3rd year when I found that bacteria Lactobacillus reuteri was high. So before that it was quite depressing, but from that time everything went very nicely.
Okay, so could you share your typical life as a SOKENDAI PhD student?
So I stay in a dormitory provided by the NIG, and so most of the time I just go to and fro from NIG to institute and institute to dormitory, like that. So other than that, I do some other hobbies, like I love gardening.
That's what I actually wanted to ask you. Like, other than research,
Yes.
what you really love to do?
Yeah. So other than research, I play football with my friends here in NIG, and I also love to cook food, and other than that, I also grow tomatoes and other vegetables in my garden. So it's just a different feeling. Like our research, I just want to translate. So our research is very long. Sometimes for one result, at least with mice, I work for 6 months, 7 months, and then I get some result. But with tomatoes, so I will plant some seed, and few days it comes out. So it's like something to refresh you out. So I do gardening.
It seems like another experiment
Yeah.
outside the lab,
Yes,
with cooking and doing some gardening
Yes,
and
yes.
so on. Okay, so what are the barriers or challenges did you face as an international student? As we know that Japan is a very culturally enriched, and you came from a very different culture, and how did you adjust in Japan?
Yeah. So in case of, I will say the biggest problem is language.
Yeah.
So in my case, like I should have actually learned language before coming here. But because after you came and start a PhD, it's very difficult to learn a new language, as 1 month you are learning some language, and then there is some new experiment which you are spending lots of time. So you again
In a gap,
Yeah,
and
gap
you forget
time,
what
yes.
vocabulary
Yes,
you have
yes,
learned
yeah,
before.
yeah.
Exactly happened to me.
So, but lab helps a lot in that sense. So first problem, I will say language. The second problem is, you should know how that country works, how the system works. Not every country has the same kind of system in terms of research funding. So if you can know how to do things here, it's very nice. And at least in case of Japan, it's quite convenient because everything is well documented, and they explain you quite well that what needs to be done and what should not be done.
So talking about language, what's the language did you speak at your lab within the lab members?
So with my sensei and few of lab members, I mostly speak in English, but some of the technical staff as well as other members, I speak in my broken Japanese. So we communicate like that. So at least now I can explain to them what I want or what help I need from them. So yeah, I will say learning a language is very important if you want to do PhD in Japan.
Okay, I think that's a good message for international students who want to come to Japan as a PhD student. So let's go back to the research part. So for your research, what are the financial support you are getting or you already got to complete your PhD?
Hi. So in my case, I received 3 fellowships in different time points. So when I joined, I was supported by NIG Research Assistant Fellowship along with my sensei. So that was for the first fellowship I received. So following that, I also applied to one JASO scholarship. They also funded me for 6 months. And following that, a new fellowship program came in SOKENDAI called SOKENDAI Special Researcher Fellowships. So that actually supported me from last almost 2 years. So these 3 fellowships supported me. But other than that, there are other fellowships available for other students. The most famous one is MEXT.
Yeah.
Everybody knows. And MEXT also has 2 ways. One way is through embassy, where each country has their own embassy giving MEXT fellowship, and also through recommendation from each institutes. So yeah, so I will say for PhD students, if you are eager to do PhD in Japan, there are so many ways to get funded.
So how difficult was it to get those fellowship, or did you get any assistance from your supervisor about that?
Yeah, for every fellowship application which I applied, my sensei always supported me and also guided me how to write, what to write. So, and I will say in case of like MEXT fellowships, so the way to apply will be, first you apply to the PI or which you want to work with. and then that PI will guide you or help you. But suppose you are already in Japan. So if you are already in Japan, then most of the scholarship application are either in Japanese or in a format which helps the Japanese reviewer to
actually,
review.
That was also my question. Did you write it in Japanese or in English?
So in my first year, I applied to few private fellowships, and they need everything in Japanese. So I actually handwritten many of the Japanese application by myself. And after that, the SOKENDAI Special Researcher Fellowship, that was completely in English, as well as JSPS I also wrote. That also was in English. But yeah, Sensei supported me a lot. And along with that, actually, SOKENDAI has a support program where you will give them your application and they review for any mistakes. So you can also avail that.
Okay, so it's good to know that here at SOKENDAI we actually have many support for doing research and as well as for our daily life. So I also am interested because for a PhD student it's very important to attend different conferences within Japan or outside Japan. So what's your experience? What was your experience about those conferences, and what about the financial support?
So actually, I feel I am lucky that I am in SOKENDAI. So I get lots of fundings to attend different conferences. So I started going to conferences from a second year. That time I had sufficient amount of result, and then I attended many Japanese conferences, all supported by NIG and SOKENDAI, as well as I attended 2 international conferences in my 4th year, in my 5th year, one to Germany, one to South Africa. Both were supported by SOKENDAI Student Dispatch Program. It's a very nice program where if you want to go to any conferences as well as trainings or some long-term internship program, you can apply and you receive the funding.
Now you already graduated and almost packing up your stuff from the Japan. So what's your next plan and what are you going to do after graduation?
Immediately after getting my defense, I started applying to different postdoc positions which I wanted to work with, different PIs. So now I have a postdoc offer from University of Cambridge, and I already accepted it. So I'll be joining them from end of October. So it's a little different lab from what I usually work. So my current lab works with behavior and gut microbiome. So in postdoc, I'll be mostly working with immunologists. So the whole lab is immunology lab along with gut microbiome. So that is my future plan now.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so I would like to ask you about, for PhD students, it's very important to publish papers. So what's your experience publishing papers in different peer-reviewed journals?
Yes, so I feel the system of SOKENDAI is quite nice in terms of they have actually many courses where they teach you how to write. So I feel that is very important skill necessary to improve your writing skills. So in terms of manuscript writing, so my lab, my PI is interested in to have a very good development in different kinds of skills. So I work with different genomes of plants and animals, as well as my behavior analysis. I work with gut metagenome, virome. So it's a well-rounded experience in terms of writing the papers, submitting it and publishing it. And I will say it's very important to write as well as to put it in public domain as soon as possible. So I will recommend submitting into bioarchive or some other preprint journal is very necessary or important when you are writing a paper as a PhD student.
Okay, so as I'm also a PhD student, I know that PhD is a stressful job. How did you maintain work-life balance?
So as I said earlier, I try to do different kinds of hobbies, which will actually distract me, or not distract, I will say, will put me in different kinds of mental setup in comparison to what I do in lab. So I spend good amount of time in lab, but if it is not necessary, or like suppose today my experiment did not work, so I'll just go and try to look at the plants which I planted, or cook something, or go for a walk. So I feel maintaining a balance is necessary in terms of work-life balance, and in PhD also very necessary. And next, I try to also interact with my friends, tell them what is my problem, and listen to their problem, give them suggestions, take suggestions. So that helps.
So would you like to tell about some extracurricular activities that you can avail at National Institute of Genetics, like some clubs or other student gathering, something?
Yes, so NIG provides lots of clubs. So we have football club, basketball club, and table tennis club, tennis club. So, and if a new student is interested in some other game and they want to start a club, they can easily do. So in my case, I usually join football, and so earlier I used to do basketball, and sometime, and I go for gym. Gym is also available here in NIG.
Here we
recently they opened it. So, and I feel in my case, the football as a stress buster. So whenever I feel stress, I just go out, play some football with my friends, and it's very nice. Good physical activity as well as mental stress relief.
Okay. So 2 years before, we actually together worked for Life Science Retreat, and you were the head of the organization of Life Science Retreat SOKENDAI. Would you like to tell a bit more about that event?
So all the life science institutes of NIG, of SOKENDAI, they come together, and yearly they organize one retreat where 4 departments come together and present their work as a poster presentation, and if sometimes oral presentations. So because as SOKENDAI has all institutes spread all over Japan, and it's very difficult to
interact with the people of the other departments.
So I feel that life science retreat is a very good opportunity to look into research of other institutes, as well as get suggestions and interact with them, make connections. And I will just want to add one more thing here. So I feel doing PhD is nice, but you also need personal development, and this kind of organizing this kind of events is a very good opportunity to develop your leadership skills. So I feel in that way, SOKENDAI have sufficient other activities as well as this kind of activities to improve your leadership skills.
For you, what do you think, or how did you benefit from the course of SOKENDAI?
So SOKENDAI provide lots of courses in different institutes. So I availed whatever was of my interest. So I was going into neuroscience as well as little bioinformatics and little of statistics. So few courses SOKENDAI provide there, we need to go on site. So I went to Okazaki to get a few courses and learned from them, which I need for my PhD. Other than that, I took most of the courses through Zoom online.
So it's been 5 years you are living in Japan. What's your overall impression about the Japan and Japanese culture, or how do you feel?
So if you are willing, it's very easy to assimilate into Japanese culture. They are very welcoming people, and I feel I did not have any negative experience in terms of outside.
It's so safe.
And I feel if you mind your own work, nobody will disturb you, nobody will do anything bad to you. So I feel Japan is a very nice place if you are focused, if you came here for do PhD, do good PhD, and whatever work you want to do. So for that purpose, Japan is one of the best place for research wise also, and no distraction also.
So last question, do you have any suggestion for the prospective students or who want to do their PhD at SOKENDAI? What will you say?
Yeah, so for prospective students, SOKENDAI can be a very nice place in terms of doing PhD as well as getting funding. So I feel the most important part is through SOKENDAI websites, they have told that these many institutes are available for you to do this kind of work, like whatever you're interested in. Go to the website, check the PI which you are interested in, and first apply to the PI. And second thing, don't do PhD just because you thought that it's the next step. Only start doing PhD if you think that you will enjoy the whole experience and you actually love doing that work.
What about the current student who are like me, who are going through this journey of the PhD? What's your suggestion?
So in terms of research, I feel like SOKENDAI or NIG students are already quite passionate, so I will not comment much about it.
Okay.
But I feel the most important part, rather than doing research, is how you will tell your research to the public from your area of expertise as well as others. So how to write for the public as well as how to give speeches is very important. So SOKENDAI has sufficient course to improve your writing skills, but there is very less or no course to improve your speeches. So in my case, I joined some other speech club available all over the world, which actually helps you to give a proper speech. And so I will say, if you are a PhD student, you should learn how to give a speech and how to write for the general audience, not scientific papers, how to write for a general audience. Yeah.
Thank you, Bhim, for this nice conversation. It was really informative and enlightening. Thanks for watching this video. See you at SOKENDAI. Bye-bye.